What's up, brother?
Hi, I'm doing good, baby. How you doing?
Good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, Pop.
It's the bait in the back, right?
Yes.
So I know we did this before. So I just wanted you, as the last poet, as we know them, they're like legends of this hip hop movement, and they represent so many a lot for us to us. And I want to just you, if you can remind us a little bit about the history of the last poets.
Well, we got started on Malcolm X's birthday, May 19th, 1968, in a park in Harlem. It was called Mount Morris Park. The park has been renamed to Marcus Garvey Park because Marcus Garvey was a very important figure for black people in America. And so the park has got a new name. But on May 19th, 1968, a brother named David Nelson, a brother named Gylan Kane, and myself were on stage and performed for the very first time. We didn't have a name. We weren't called the Last Poets. We were just going by our American names. But we got the name The Last Poets from reading a poem by a South African poet named Kelopetsi Kokosili. He's from South Africa, and he had written a poem entitled Towards a Walk in the Sun. And in the poem, he was talking about the all of the problems that were taking place in South Africa with apartheid, because apartheid was restricting the people who were born, who were the natives of South Africa. They were restricting their movements, stopping them from getting jobs, stopping them from having freedom on every level. So Kokosili wrote a poem called Towards a Walk in the Sun. He was describing the situation of the people in South Africa. But near the end of the poem, he, in big capital letters, he typed, "This when you hear is the birth of memory. When the moment hatches in time's womb, there will be no art talk. The only poem you will hear will be the spear point pivoted into the punctured marrow of the villain, and the timeless native sun dancing like crazy to retrieve rhythms of desire fading into memory." David Nelson added, "Therefore, we are the last poets of the world." So we had a creed. We were saying that our poetry is the last message before we have this revolution, before we have this change. So either you're going to listen to that message and make some changes, or you'll be moved by the movement. You'll be changed, and whether with your permission or without. So we started, and we were fire. I mean, it was amazing. When we first got started, people really received us beautifully. And then we had the thing that made us, I think, very, very big, very quickly, was we had a place, and it was a loft space in Harlem, and it was called the East Wind. And we put on all kinds of concerts with Dawn and Albert Eiler. These are two great jazz cats from back in the day. Pharoah Sanders and Leon Thomas, two other great jazz artists. And then one of my favorite groups, Sun Ra's Orchestra. Sun Ra had, man, he must have had about a dozen horn players and drummers and all. He had a big orchestra. And he didn't call it an orchestra, he called it an orchestra. And they performed there as well. So we would provide, every weekend we had these big performances, plus after the performance we would party, we'd eat food and dance until dawn. And then just before dawn, the drummers would get together and just play the drums until the sun came up. And we did this for about a year, I mean, and established a very strong reputation in Harlem. So when our album first came out, in less than 3 months, we sold over 400,000 copies of an album without any kind of promotion, without any advertisement. It was strictly word of mouth. People were saying that if you didn't have The Last Poets, man, your album collection was incomplete. So we were getting a lot of support and endorsement from the people just because we said what was on our minds. And when people give us credit for being the foundation for hip-hop, I always let people know, I say, I'm a poet, I'm not a hip-hop artist, but we laid the foundation for hip-hop by taking the clothes off the language. We gave you the language in the raw. We gave it to you naked. We didn't hide. We didn't cover it up. We didn't color it up. We didn't put any kind of lacing on it. We called it like it was. And we spoke about the problems that we were having as a people, because our focus was really on black people recognizing that we had power, but we had given it up to the system. And we also recognized that the element inside of us that was stopping us from really achieving what we wanted was an element called the nigger. And the nigger was a problem. So we had poems dedicated to trying to eliminate the nigger in our lives. We had poems called Run Nigger, Wake Up Nigger, Niggers are untogether people, Niggers are scared of revolution. We even had a very definitive poem entitled Die Nigga Die, so black folks can take over. So we were always trying to heal ourselves by healing the ill that we had within our own community. We were more concerned about making our community strong than attacking the system. We didn't attack the system as much as we attacked each other, because we felt that our problem and the solutions all lied with us, that we had the solution. So our poetry spoke to that. And I'm very proud of my past. I was only 18 when the group started. I was young, but I wanted to be a part of something big. There's a movie that people could see that was really the best depiction of where the Last Poets are coming from, a movie called The Battle of Algiers. And The Battle of Algiers was a movie about the Algerian people taking their independence from the French. About 2 weeks before they started their revolution against the French, they went up to the drug dealers and told them, so listen, we're getting ready to have a revolution. You're going to have to stop selling drugs on the street. And then the drug dealer said, okay, yeah, all right, we're going to stop. They went over to the pimps, said, listen, we're getting ready to have a revolution. You got to get your hoes off the street. No more selling coochie on the street. And they said, yeah, okay. They came back 2 weeks later, everything was going on just like it was before. They pulled out their guns and they killed the pimps, they killed the hoes, they killed the drug dealers, they killed the drug users. Didn't say anything, blew them away. And I always tell people, that's an example of the Last Poets. Now, I'm not going to pick up a gun and shoot you. I'm not going to get a bomb and shoot you. I have my mouth is my gun, and the bullets are my words. And I'm going to blow you away with what I've got to say. And that's where I'm coming from. And I've never changed from that. I've come to realize over the years that Umar and I, the brother that wrote Niggas Are Scared of Revolution, we've been traveling all over the world for the last 20 years in Europe, Africa, all over. And I've come to realize that our fight is not so much black and white as it was, as we thought. It's humanity versus inhumanity. We have a whole world of people who are being neglected. And it's a whole world of humanity. And when we're performing in France and in Denmark and Switzerland, we have an audience of white people who I never dreamed would be listening to the Last Poets. But because we're saying something that concerns people and the development of humanity. People come out to our concerts and they support us, and it really just blows my mind. So I always tell people now that our fight is humanity versus inhumanity. If you're not a person that's championing people, that's raising high and celebrating your humanity, that means that you are an enemy of mine. I don't care who you are, what color you are. One of the things that I love about this Senegal America project was the fact that it was a group of people who appreciated their humanity coming together. Tony Vaca, Tantra Zawadi, and myself, along with the Gobi system. And then their grandparents in Podor took care of us like we were family. We were taking care of Lovely in Dakar. The people that we worked with, the young folks throughout Senegal, were very receptive. And so there is we went to the Afro-Culture Bar and to the Hip Hop Academy and did some wonderful things and had a beautiful concert there. And it just gave me hope that the world is ready for serious, positive change. And we need artists like us to usher that change in. So the Gobi system and Bidou Bobes and the Last Poets and Tony Vaca and Tantra and all of us who participated, Eshu and Motoko, all of us who participated in this project, I think that we did the world a great service by doing what we did, and I really hope that we have a chance to do more of this because it's necessary.
And that will bring to my next question. For example, you know, you were talking about the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
I have three questions in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of young people in Senegal are using that nigger word
Right.
in the wrong way.
In the wrong way.
And those brothers and sisters who doesn't understand and
Right.
use it in a...
They don't know the history.
Thank you. So
And
I
that's
think
a
if you
problem.
could tell them a little bit, that would...
Well, you know, I remember when we were at the Hip Hop Academy in Dakar, and we were having a wonderful conversation, and this brother walked up and said, "I'm your Muslim nigga." And I said, "Why would you take your religion and throw it in the toilet?" I said, "Muslim and nigga don't work together. That's oil and water." I said, "It just doesn't mix." So I pointed that out to him, and I tried to talk to them about the fact that, see, the word nigga was used to make us feel bad about ourselves. It was used to make us feel less than human. So instead of us being black people or being African people, they'd say, "Hey, nigger, plow that land, nigger, nigger," and they referred to us as niggers, which was demeaning, which was a painful thing to accept. But black people, we're amazing because we can take something that is so bad and so wrong and make it sound so right. We have that ability. My lady doesn't like the example, but I say we're the people who can take some dog doo-doo and make it meatloaf and serve it to you and make you feel like you're eating a meal, and you're not. You're eating poison. But we have that ability. I always go back to say that we are the children of bad. We're the only people I know on the planet Earth who've taken the word bad and made it wonderful. We say, "Man, that's a bad chick. There's nothing wrong with her. She's outstanding." You know, I went to a dope party Saturday night. A dope party? Everybody was sitting around with needles in their arms? No. Dope means it was a wonderful party. But we have that ability to flip it, to turn it around, to make it completely opposite than what it was meant to be. So we are redefiners. We redefine.
Sorry for that.
We redefine everything. But at this point in time, we need to recognize that certain terms just don't work. And we need to celebrate being African people. and we need to celebrate the glory of that. And that's why when we were in Africa, I think I said it in French too, "Tu n'es pas niggas, tu es African." You know, we are African people. And people applauded, they appreciated that. And I know that when you hear old Last Poet work, you hear us use the word nigger a lot. But we're not telling people to be niggas. We're saying that that's what we don't need. But a lot of the people who heard what we had to say, they missed the message. They only heard the word nigger. So that became a problem. But yeah, a lot of folks have misused it. And then the same young man, before we left that day, I'll never forget, he came back, we were sitting, it was around drinking that Senegalese tea, which I really miss. I love that tea.
We're going to make you some here.
Yeah, oh man, I love that tea. And we were sitting around, and he came over, and I said, "Oh, that's my Muslim nigga." He said, "No, I'm no longer a nigga. No longer a nigga." I said, "Oh, you're just a Muslim now. No nigga." He said, "No nigga, I'm not no nigga no more." And it made me feel so good because he got it. He understood. And that's really what it's all about. And because our worlds are really much closer than people realize, we have got to share the information and the knowledge and help each other grow. Because my trip to Senegal was one of the greatest trips I've ever had in my life. And I travel a lot. But the love that the people showed us, the food that they gave us, the warmth of the people. I mean, I was trying to wash me and Tony were trying to wash our clothes in Podor. And the little girls came and wanted to snatch our clothes out of our hand and wash them themselves. And Tony and I told the grandmother, we said, we can wash our own clothes. But we let the girls wring out the clothes, at least, and hang them up because they wanted to participate. They wanted to show their humanity. They wanted to show their love. And that is what's missing in the world. We're hearing too much about crazy things. We don't hear enough of the good stuff. There's some good stuff happening on this planet. There's some good people here. But we don't get any pub. We don't get the publicity. We don't get the announcements. Only the bad stuff is talked about.
And unfortunately, for example, if you, that was my next question actually about world peace. You know, we in Boston, we in Massachusetts today, we were supposed to have a show, I believe, today, right? Today?
Yes, it was yesterday.
Yesterday.
At Dartmouth.
But
canceled because one of those kids actually went to that school. So what's happening is that there's a feeling there that's not so good. It's not uplifting. I think that what they should have recognized is that we were coming there with some healing stuff. We were not coming there to create more madness. We were coming to bring something good. I'm very sorry that they canceled that show because what we bring is a life thing. We're not bringing something to tear life apart. We're bringing something to bring life together. I was in St. Martin about 2 months ago, and the DJ of the radio station where I was on told me that after the earthquake that they had in St. Martin, they had a very serious earthquake, or it was either earthquake or hurricane, but it was something that devastated the people. They lost a lot of property, a lot of people lost their lives. The lieutenant governor asked this guy who had a radio show to actually tell jokes on the radio. He says, "I want you to make the people laugh." He says, "Laugh? Are you kidding?" He says, "Some people just lost their homes. Some people just lost their lives." He says, "Some people are dead." He says, "I know that." He says, "But laughter is a healer. And we need to get people to stop thinking about the pain and to just laugh, just heal themselves with laughter." And so he actually started telling jokes on the air about things that had happened to them, people losing their houses and running down, chasing stuff out their house that the wind had blown away or whatever. I mean, and it actually did some good to the point where the lieutenant governor arranged for this guy to have some concerts, live concerts, where he was on stage being a comedian. And he couldn't believe it, because who would think that a comedian could help heal pain at a time like that? Now, we're not comedians. We're artists, we're writers, we're poets, we're singers. But what we bring is beauty. What we bring is love. What we bring is peace. And that's what this world needs. Unfortunately, Massachusetts is in a very bad way because of the circumstances with the Boston Marathon. You bomb some people who were just gathering for a sporting event. I mean, and the bomb actually just blew up a little kid. I think he was 8 years old, and I mean, and a number of people have lost their legs. I mean, you know, this is very sad. Now, we can't undo what was done, but we can deal with what was done. And the way you deal with that is to try to offer some kind of healing salve. And the only way we can really heal each other is through the music, through the words, through the actions of artists who really care and come with a good heart. And that's what the Gobi system has. That's what we have. And I really feel bad that it's going to be rescheduled, I understand, and we'll be able to do that concert. But in the meantime, we missed out on a beautiful moment where I think that people fail to realize that right now we need something injected in us that's going to make us feel better about ourselves. But they didn't see that. They didn't have that foresight. So consequently, our performance was canceled.
So, Brodun, that will be the part 1.
Yes.
We'll have part 2, but before that, we'll go get some tea.
Okay.
Some Senegalese tea.
I love it.
We'll come right back.
All right.
All right.
Excellent. Excellent.